Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of ProRevenge, where Karen gets a dose of reality. When Karen used Down syndrome kids against me, she didn't expect this. I can finally talk about this. After years of threats of legal action, etc., it is now officially over. So, back in 2003, when unemployed, I decided to volunteer at a local education facility that specializes in helping out young to late teen kids with Down syndrome or high levels of autism, which causes them to be antisocial. I hate not being able to work, so volunteering not only got myself out of my boring doing nothing everyday schedule, but also gave me a positive when applying for work. Everyone likes someone who is always trying to better themselves. It is a great place, with some great people who also volunteer, and the kids are imaginative and show love unconditionally. The local community was also amazing, donating items, clothes, food, and money to help keep the facility running. Just shy of 2 years later, after many people coming and going, Karen appears. At first, she has a nice smile and is accommodating. The kids seem to love her a lot. Until the jealousy started. Karen didn't understand for the last 2 years I had been doing volunteering, even when doing part-time jobs I could find, so she assumed I was just recently new. So, when the kids always came to me to give me hugs and tell me what they did today and show off their art, well, Karen didn't like this, and she was jealous of my popularity with the kids. This started a spate of things happening. I was a smoker at that time. Not anymore. Have quit since 7 years ago, which was the best thing ever. So as a rule, was to make sure lighters, matches and cigarettes were locked away in lockers at all times. This included medication, mobile phones, anything that could be a bad thing in the wrong hands. Although, the kids would tell anyone that something was sitting out in the open that shouldn't be there was there, and we would put them away. But this one day, Karen had gone to manager/HR administrator to say that I had left my cigarettes out without my lighter, an electronic one which was unique. I was busy that day, so I was apologetic, as I could easily have forgotten as you're kept off your feet constantly. But in the back of my mind, I had a niggling doubt that I am sure I put them in my locker. Over 4 months, every 2 to 3 weeks, something else was left in the open, or a door to the cleaning closet was left open after I had used the equipment inside. Each time, Karen had went off to the manager/HR to say about this. Karen has kids of her own that left after they hit 18 plus, so at the time, I am putting it down to automatic motherly defensiveness for the kids. The following month, one of the girls, we'll call her Jo, which is not her real name, had burst into the room crying with blood quickly flowing from her nose. All the volunteers, including myself, instantly went to check up on Jo. She's looking flustered, looking at me and gave me a big yell and ran off to hide. When Jo was flustered or upset about something, she would always hide, but she always came to me first to say why or hint at why. But this time she didn't. And then Karen burst in. "How could you do this to Jo?" Devil's eyes peering at me. I am taken aback. I go, "What? Who? What do you mean? What happened to Jo?" She replied, "I can't believe I just watched you 5 minutes ago punch her in the face." And she rushed off to the manager/HR. I am standing there, aghast, unsure of what the hell is going on. Jo in the corner, somewhere behind boxes, crying her eyes out. Some new volunteers looking at me as if I'm bad, and the other kids looking perplexed, because I've never done this at all before. Even with Down syndrome, they understand most of what is going on around them. Manager comes in quickly, looking angry, which is understandable hearing what Karen told her. Asked me why I did this. This shocked me hard because here is the manager who has known me for the last 2.5 years and instantly thought I could do this to the kids. I deny it, of course. I've been in the room for at least 25 minutes. The others couldn't corroborate as we were always busy and we didn't notice small things, like who is in the room and for how long. The manager goes to Jo and asks her. She looks at me instantly and sobs her heart out again, and says with a stammering, "Yes." This hit me harder than the manager instantly thinking I could do this. Jo has been like a little sister who would tell me everything and always came to me when in trouble. So police were called. Everyone given information. Jo was too scared and still in her place of hiding. So I was effectively let go pending an investigation. Hardly anyone gets reinstated after any type of investigation, but Jo's parents were seemingly at a loss for words and didn't think I could do this, and after talking to Jo on their own, they dropped the charges. But the damage was done, and I was asked to never come back. Later found out that Karen and her jealousy was telling other newer volunteer staff that I was touching up the kids, always hitting them, and leaving dangerous stuff about. She had watched me at my locker, digital number keypad type, and saw my pin for the locker, and left things about, including the lighter and cigarettes. All because the kids would always come to me. Fast forward to 2009. After lots of rejections from other places for volunteering, one place was run by an ex-volunteer who knew this was all BS and gave me a chance. She was great and understanding. We would help all types of people in the community to do the events for charities, etc. I enjoyed it very much. One day, the boss came to me and said, "Oh, guess who is coming with the kids today?" Only god dang Karen. Since years back, Karen moved up the ranks, so to speak, and had, through some rumors, forced the manager to quit. So wanted the ex-volunteer who ran this place to help the kids put on a play so she can show it off to a regional director who helps fund the facility I used to volunteer at. Oh boy, oh boy. Luckily, Karen never gets to see me. She talks to the person who runs the place I am at now. Everything's arranged. And the kids could come twice a week for 5 months to work on and rehearse the play they would put on. Sort of real-life situations that they meet in their lives and how to overcome them. And of the eldest kids is Jo. She sees me and rushes over to me and hugs me to death, crying at the same time, saying, "Sorry, sorry, sorry," about what seemed like forever. I patted her on the head and said it's okay, because I know she was coerced into it. It fit the scenario. Jo told me everything she could about Karen. She punched Jo, told her to blame me. She wouldn't, then she got punched again, same spot. This time with the threat to tell me it was me or she would never come back here and go to the bad place, which was a publicly funded place which isn't really good. Lightbulb moment. Real life situation and how to overcome them. I got in touch with Jo's parents and they were so apologetic because Jo told them everything, and they tried to tell the manager/HR before, but she put it down to just Jo isn't sure and just wanted me back. So I told them of the play and if we could introduce Jo's experience with Karen as part of the play. They were hesitant at first, and after a couple of hours I get a text on my phone. "Yeah, go for it. Take that lying tramp down." So months go by. Jo knew not to tell anyone about the play, it was a secret. Then it was time for the big night. Rumors packed, other groups did their choirs, plays, artistic dances. It was a great night. I looked through the thick wine curtains at the stage to see Karen, looking all pleased with herself next to the director. Apparently this was make or break for Karen. Please the director, get the manager position, which was a paid position and not volunteer. She was temporary manager and being paid, but this would solidify it. Then the kids came on, each group did their own things. They were amazing and people were enjoying it. Some jokes here and there that we helped the kids remember. Then Jo was last, a solo performance. Jo stood on the stage and in her best voice, "My time at X facility name by Jo." I'm watching Karen through the curtain and she's looking perplexed, forcing a smile at the director who was loving it and was paying super attention to all the kids. Who wouldn't be if you were funding the kids, you know? So I stepped to the side of the curtain, and then eventually Karen's eyes met my face and I cheekily waved. And then her face became one of massive concern. Jo put on an amazing performance, and the piece de resistance was her solo part about Karen. In the dark, with a light shining on Jo for dramatic effect, she mimicked what happened to her that day. "That hurt me, Karen. Why did you punch me? You did this to me, not X," which was me of course. Then she covers her nose again, as if hit again. "No, Karen, don't hit me again. I don't want to leave here. I'll do it." She then stands up straight from a crouched defensive position and says, "Karen told me to lie and say X hit me, or I would go to the bad place." The director's face was unforgettable. He sat with his jaw literally hanging down and mouth agape. Karen was looking at me, at Joe, at the director, back and forward back, and you could see her trying to figure out something to save herself. I just walked backstage, job done. Later, I high-fived Joe and told her, "Good job. You were amazing." She gave me the biggest, cheesiest grin with a thumbs up. Made me tear up. Karen blamed me for obviously making Joe say all these things, and police were called again. But my boss didn't take her side, of course, and allowed me to remain. For years, Karen would always serve me up some weird summons to court for one thing or another. I would go and she wouldn't, so I automatically win. Now there is a second ProRevenge here. One of the girls who was at the facility when I was there was Meg. Again, not a real name. She had Down syndrome but also multiple sclerosis. Sweetest girl ever. She was bullied by Karen to say stuff about me, such as touching her, but Meg would say no every single time, even when Karen would pinch her badly on parts of her body like arms, back, or neck. Meg's parents thought kids at the facility were hitting her and gave her a teddy bear she called Barry the Bear. Barry was special, it had a camera, so she would have the bear, and if anything bad happens, she knew to press the bear's paw to start recording. Anyway, they forgot about it because Meg didn't have any more marks, etc. I guess Karen stopped tormenting her. But unfortunately, Meg lost her battle with multiple sclerosis March of last year, and they were going through her things, and the father found Barry the Bear and remembered why they got it. They went through what was recorded. Now, back then, things like this did exist, but were heavy and expensive and not much storage. Well, Joe was playing with Barry the Bear as Meg allowed her to play with it. They were good friends. Joe must have accidentally pushed the paw to start recording, and on the recording, you could hear Karen in the background coming near. Karen had a policy of telling kids not to touch things not theirs, so Joe must have feared and put Barry on the shelving next to her. And we didn't see what happened, but it recorded the sounds, the threats, the audible strikes, the crying. So Meg's parents told me about this, and that started me down the legal route to finally get Karen for good. It resulted in going to court, and after a day they found Karen guilty, but she was banned from working with kids, placed on a register which records violence against kids for 15 years, and was fined $50,000 and was to pay damages to me, Joe, and Meg's parents. Unfortunately, the stigma I received back then never did go away, and I can't still go back to the facility to volunteer even after the truth, but that is okay. I'm currently going to start another new job and will volunteer at weekends, but I know that Karen and her ambitious jealousy is now having the worst time ever. Everyone in the community knows what she did, and she has become a bit of a recluse and hardly ventures anywhere. Sorry for the long story, didn't realize I typed so much. Well guys, if you enjoyed that one, please leave a comment, like, subscribe if you liked it that much, and tell me what you thought of it in that comment down below. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I don't do too many updates at the end of these videos, but hey, thank you for hanging out this long, and I really hope you did enjoy this episode. Tell me if there's anything else you'd like to hear, and as always, I hope you have a good day. Bye.